Before Alpo made the news, before Rich Porter became a legend, before AZ put Harlem's story on wax, there was one name in Sugar Hill that everybody in the street already knew, DuWop. Not because he was loud, not because he was reckless, but because in a neighborhood full of killers and hustlers and men who thought they had the game figured out, DuWop was always 3 steps ahead. This is his story. Sugar Hill, Harlem, early 1970s. A neighborhood that carried the weight of 2 worlds. The fading elegance of Duke Ellington's era and the rising tide of street money that was beginning to swallow everything in its path. DuWop grew up in the middle of it. His father was a basketball player, all city, talented enough to have a shot at the NBA. So DuWop's first dream was the same as any kid with a ball in his hand. Make it out on talent, make it clean. But the streets don't wait for dreams. His uncles moved in the drug game, but they kept him away from it, shielded him as long as they could. What they couldn't shield him from was what he could see with his own eyes every day. The money, the cars, the respect, the power. Men in his neighborhood who had built something from nothing in an era when the system had already decided what their ceiling was. At night, his uncle would sit him down in front of gangster movies, The Godfather, old school mob films, and DuWop absorbed every lesson. Honor, loyalty. You protect your family at all costs. You understand the difference between a man who sells drugs and a man who runs an organization. He wanted to be the latter, always. By the time he was 10 years old, DuWop and his crew, Craig O, Mike Fields, Brent, Mike Jitz, George Sweets, were already moving. Nothing major yet, breaking into arcade machines and bubblegum dispensers, splitting the money evenly down the line. But the way they operated, organized, fair, no one left out. That was already the blueprint of what was coming. Around that same time, a new kid moved into the neighborhood, quiet, ambitious. His name was Richard Porter. Nobody knew yet what that friendship would eventually mean to Harlem's history. Junior high school changed everything. DuWop met a kid named L.A., and together they became something the neighborhood hadn't seen before. 2 young kids with hunger that didn't have a ceiling. At 15 years old, DuWop had something almost no one his age had in Harlem. His own connect, fish scale cocaine, named for the way it shimmered. Rainbow crystals that looked like the scales of a fish under light. This wasn't stepped on product. This was the real thing. And DuWop had it direct. While other young hustlers were waiting on somebody else's package, depending on somebody else's timeline, DuWop was independent. At 15, he branded his product Blue Tape. Simple, memorable. He hit the block before sunrise, when most of Harlem was still asleep, yelling Blue Tape into the quiet morning streets. Customers thought he was out of his mind at first, a kid screaming in the dark before dawn. But DuWop understood something most hustlers didn't. The early morning hours were money sitting on the table, nobody to pick it up. He picked it up. Word spread fast. Customers started coming from New Jersey just to find the kid with the blue tape. His connect told him he was moving work better than grown men who had been in the game for years. At 15, DuWop was being told he'd be a millionaire soon. At 16, he and L.A. were making thousands a day. Too young to drive legally, but that didn't stop them. L.A. bought a brand new Saab 900 Turbo, cash. DuWop pulled up in an Audi. Then he went to the BMW dealership and walked out with a 533, a model that hadn't even hit the streets yet. In a brand new color, nobody in the city had seen. Burgundy. First in New York, paid in full. Even Alpo, one of the most feared names to ever come out of Harlem, moved carefully around DuWop. That tells you everything about where DuWop stood in the hierarchy. When crack cocaine hit Harlem, most of the established players were slow to adapt. DuWop adapted immediately. He cooked a kilo, then another, then another. He couldn't keep enough product on the streets. At the height of his operation, one block alone was generating over $100,000 in a single 11-hour shift. 60,000 more overnight from one block. The whole crew was eating. BMWs, Porsches, the flyest cars in the city. DuWop stopped counting his money because too much was coming in to keep track. But the higher you climb in that life, the more dangerous the fall. His best friend L.A. got comfortable, let his guard down one night, took off his vest. The man waiting for him had been bailed out quietly. L.A. didn't know. He came out of the rooftop that night thinking the war had cooled down. It hadn't. When DuWop got the first call, he grabbed his gun in his vest and headed to Harlem Hospital. The second call told him L.A. didn't make it. Then Crego caught a case. Rich Porter caught a case. The crew that built Sugar Hill together was being dismantled one by one. DuWop kept moving, opened a clothing store, started a record label, built a recording studio, ran operations up and down Interstate 95 with his base in Virginia. But the government had been building a case since the 80s. Every jail conversation, every informant, every precinct in Harlem that ever had his name on a file, they came for him in Virginia, all black gear, mask, guns drawn. When one of them finally pulled his mask off, he said, "We got you. The New York City police gave us everything we needed, and it goes all the way back to the 80s. DuWop reached for his weapon, never made it. The king of Sugar Hill was gone." But ask anybody who was really there, who actually lived through that era in Harlem, and they'll tell you the same thing. DuWop set the pace for all of them.